Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the SwineyBros podcast. My name is Toby,
And I'm Seth.
and we are.
We welcome you to the SwineyBros podcast.
December the 5th, 2025. 20 days till Christmas. Glad to be back in the saddle again here on the podcast.
It's been a few weeks. Hopefully, everyone had a happy Thanksgiving, a good time in this holiday season. Our Thanksgiving was pretty good. Went down to Knoxville and saw Tennessee get absolutely embarrassed by Vanderbilt. And then a couple of days later, Tennessee has a top 5 recruiting class in the nation. So countered that with a really bad day with some really goods. In case you do keep up with college football, we had, I think, 4 5-star commits, like 18 4-star commits, and 3 3-stars, something like that. It was Tennessee's best recruiting class, I think it said, in like 20 years.
Wow.
So hopefully there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel if you're a Tennessee Volunteer fan after a disappointing end to the season. Still bowl eligible. I think it says that Tennessee's projected to go to the Gator Bowl. Definitely not what you wanted to see, but it was a rebuild year either way. So that's your little bit of college football tidbits information. And
Got a few things. No criminal activity this week, thankfully, but a few little items. This one really threw me for a loop and really had me scratching my head, but maybe they see something that I don't. The Ravens have reached an agreement on a 3-year contract extension with their tight end Mark Andrews, worth $39.3 million with $26 million guaranteed.
Whoa!
I thought he was going to be on the chopping block, and here they're giving him a contract extension. So not really sure what the deal is there, but obviously he's done something to get a nod from upper management there. So I guess we're going to see Mark Andrews in Baltimore for a while.
Wow.
Here's a cool little tidbit for Thanksgiving. The Chiefs and the Cowboys Thanksgiving Day game had a record of 57.230 million viewers
Holy cow.
per CBS Sports.
Wow.
It is now considered the most watched regular season game ever, beating the previous record by 36%.
Wow.
57,230,000 viewers signed in to watch the Cowboys and the Chiefs play on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
That was crazy. Also, here's some cool news, very cool news on the defensive front. Browns player Myles Garrett is having a historic 2025 season. He is currently leading the NFL with 19 sacks through 12 games. He also is 4 sacks away from breaking the single-season sack record of 22.5 that is shared by Michael Strahan and T.J. Watt.
Wow.
So that's very possible that we're going to see a new single-season sack record by Myles Garrett, especially coming up with their matchup against the Tennessee Titans this week. It's a very good possibility he could get very close to that number. So that was really interesting to see. And then one more little tidbit of news. The New England Patriots are on their bye week this week, but heading into their bye week, they have a current 10-game winning streak.
Wow.
And the best record in the AFC. 10
Wow.
games in a row. Congratulations to Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels on that accomplishment.
Wow. Before we jump into anything else, the Cowboys and the Lions played last night. Today is the following day after, a wonderful Friday. So that does not really change anything, but does shake up the playoff race a little bit in the NFC side of things. In case anyone wanted to know the recap, it was a pretty intense game. Lots of offense. We expected that. Not a lot of defense. More so the Lions in the first half. We aren't doing any games of the week this week just because we're a few weeks ahead trying to catch up on some other things. But in case you didn't watch it last night, the Lions looked pretty good and the Cowboys looked good, but there was a few times, especially a few crucial mistakes, other than Brandon Aubrey being the best player in the world, that really kind of solidified that game. And the Lions looked like a better team throughout, but the Cowboys, man, their defense Can they make the playoffs with their defense?
No, not unless they really do some changing. Too many holes. If you follow our Facebook page or Instagram page, you will see that me and Toby had different picks for last night's game. I had a lot of faith in the Cowboys. They let me down. Nothing against the Lions. I just thought that the Dallas Cowboys they've been on a roll the last few weeks, and I thought it was going to keep going, but it did not go that way.
The Lions do have one of the highest rated offenses in the league, believe it or not. But they have a bad habit of, well, kind of similar to the Cowboys, beating themselves sometimes, really, especially Dallas last year. But either way, that does bring us into our next topic, which is the current playoff scenarios of the NFL and what's happening, what could potentially happen, and what it looks like for the people that are on the outside looking in. So let's just look at current playoff standings. This one's a little bit wild. This is very 2015 reminiscent. So let's look at the AFC. Of course, Seth mentioned it, 10-game win streak. The Patriots sit atop the AFC right now at 11-2. They have a 99% chance to make the playoffs. I don't think they're not making the playoffs. However, there is a situation, depending on how these games go, that if Denver and New England wins out, I do believe that Denver would get the tiebreaker for the first overall seed over the Patriots. I read that somewhere. It was an NFL post or someone was talking about it. I didn't see the variables involved in it. But someone was saying about that. And the Patriots are on a bye week this week, and the Broncos are playing the Raiders. So speaking of the Broncos, sitting atop the number 2 spot, the 10-2 Broncos. Both the Broncos and the Patriots this year have been clowned on, disrespected, said they were terrible, they had easy schedules, etc., etc. Throw it on there. The hate is hate. But at the end of the day, you're still winning football games. You're still winning in the National Football League, and they're both sitting comfortably atop the AFC. So regardless of the hate, both these teams look, in my opinion at least, solid 1 and 2 seeds. I don't think that's changing at all.
No, I really don't either. But, if you had asked me at the beginning of the season, or even a few weeks ago, if Denver would be the number 2 seed, I would have said you're crazy. Like, no way. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't even in the top 7. Like, what the heck? Like, so kudos to Sean Payton and the Broncos. Now, I knew that the AFC East would be close, and I did know that the Patriots and the Bills would both be there. I didn't think that the Patriots would surpass the Bills like they have, but they did. But we all knew that, the way they've been playing, they were destined for greatness. So,
but don't forget that the Patriots do still have to play the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. We'll talk more about the Ravens in a minute. And they do still have to play the Jets and the Dolphins, which truthfully I don't expect them to lose those games, but I really do think they would. I think Buffalo is hungry for revenge against the Patriots. So it's not over yet. I mean, the Bills are 8-4. The Patriots are 11-2.
And I honestly think that New England has the potential to win out the rest of their games.
They could. They absolutely could. So either way.
One of the biggest surprises to me was to see Jacksonville sneaking their way up to the number 3 seed.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, number 3 in the AFC playoff run.
Who would have thought?
Baltimore coming in at number 4. Wow. Top 4 AFC seeds: New England, Denver, Jacksonville, and Baltimore. Top 4.
Who, speaking of, Baltimore is 6-6 currently, and they are facing the other terrible 6-6 team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, this week, who's trying to fight this very, very weird playoff race in this AFC North division.
And see, the difference here, you're probably wondering, well, why is Baltimore in the seeding right now, but Pittsburgh is not in the seeding? Baltimore is ahead of Pittsburgh in the AFC North based on their common game record. Baltimore is sitting at 5-2, and then the Steelers 4-3. So that's the difference why Baltimore's there and Pittsburgh's not.
I think either way you go with the AFC North, you're probably going to get a team in there with a very mediocre record, kind of similar to the Buccaneers. What was it, 2023 when they made the playoffs at 8-9? I think it was 2023. Don't quote me on that. But truthfully, if I had to pick a team that I wanted in the playoffs between the Steelers or the Ravens, I would go with the Ravens. I would much rather see, as much as his struggles have been since coming off his injury, I'd much rather see Lamar Jackson and the Ravens in the playoffs, just because I still do think that if they're healthy, they have a much better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, if you didn't see the stat, George Pickens has more receiving yards than the entire Pittsburgh wide receiver room.
Craziness.
If you see that, it's like, okay, do we really want this team in the playoffs, or are they just going to get blown out? Not. It's still the NFL. Anyone can win any given day, but I don't want to see the Steelers in the playoffs right now. I would rather see the Ravens, and I don't like the Ravens, so take that as you will. But yeah, right below the Ravens, at the 5th seed. This isn't really a shock, I don't think, to many people, is the Chargers. The LA Chargers sitting at 8-4 in that second position in the AFC West beneath the Broncos. A little bit of surprise because they've been so hot this year. The Colts are on a little bit of a losing streak, sitting right beneath the Chargers, also at 8-4, second in the AFC South.
Now, see, I expected Indianapolis to be at least top 3 the way that they were playing. And if anything, Jacksonville and Indianapolis, switching. I didn't even have Jacksonville on my list, if you remember when we did our playoff predictions.
I remember. But what's interesting to keep in mind is this could easily switch by next week, because the Colts play the Jaguars for the upcoming Sunday match. And they are, I don't know if it's in Jacksonville or in Indianapolis. So you could easily see the Colts in that 3rd spot and the Jaguars in the 6th spot, depending on the results of Sunday, or nothing changes. Well, something could change, because right beneath the Colts are the 8-4 Buffalo Bills. So you've got the 8-4 Bills, the 8-4 Colts, the 8-4 Chargers, right below all this. So 5 through 7, well, really 3 as well could change, but 5 through 7 could easily just go whoop. Just like
absolutely.
That. Just like that.
And something, I wouldn't snooze on the Texans just yet. They're sitting at a 7-5 record right now, and they have really come to town the last few weeks, and they've really taken on some really big contenders and come away with the win. Like, if you'd have told me that they were going to beat Buffalo, I would have been, you're crazy. But looking at their schedule, they beat the Colts last week. They beat the Bills. They beat the Jaguars. They hung with the Broncos. They lost to the Broncos by 3. So they're starting to get it together. So that you might see them sneak in there at the bottom. The teams that have been eliminated, there has been 2 teams already eliminated from the playoff contention in the AFC. And that would be the Las Vegas Raiders and the Tennessee Titans. Those are the only 2 teams in the AFC that have been eliminated thus far. There is more to follow. I think that you'll see the Saints, wrong division. I think you'll see the Jets and the Browns join them. But, right now it's just the Raiders and the Titans been the only 2 in the AFC that has been eliminated. Now going to the plethora, the gladiator, the NFC.
Oh, boy.
If you'd have told me that the Chicago Bears would be sitting in the number 1 seed for the NFC for the playoffs, I would have been like, you're crazy! No way! But look at the records in the NFC. Like, you got 1, 2, 3. You've got 3 teams with a 9-3 record, and 1 team with a 9-4 record. 2 teams, 8-3, 8-4, and then the worst record, 7-5. But the worst record, it's top 4 team.
Really, if you took this season and you told us the top 2 seeds from both conferences, minus the Rams, everyone I think would have just laughed at you and said, like, there's just no way. But that's the joy of the NFL. I think the NFC North is turning into that. If you remember several years ago when the Eagles finished with a fantastic record, they didn't make the playoffs. I feel like the NFC North is probably going to end that way. The Bears are 9-3 and they lead the NFC North. But let's not forget that right beneath them are the Packers, who are 8-3 and 1 tie, respectively, and the Lions, who are 8-5, sitting in this. But statistically speaking, the Bears have a 91% chance of making the playoffs if they win their next game against the Green Bay Packers.
I don't know that they can.
Their current probability is a 74%, but if they lose to the Packers, it goes down to a 65%. So it's safe to say the Bears are looking okay. But if you compare the Bears, the Packers, and the Lions, the Bears have had the weakest schedule. They have. And I'm not doing the whole Patriots thing where I'm clowning on them. They're still winning football games. But if you match the Bears against the Packers, who looks better?
Packers.
The Packers. I mean, it's obvious, I think. So this matchup really could completely switch up this number 1 overall seed.
Sure could.
I mean,
it could change everything.
Everything could immediately change. However, who I don't doubt at all, who I think has been a top contender really all season long, except a rough start, is the LA Rams.
Agreed.
9-3,
second seed,
first in the NFC West. They have a 98% chance to make the playoffs if they win against the Cardinals. 95% currently, and even if they lose, they still have an 88% chance. I think if you look at the most well-rounded team, it's been the LA Rams. They've had a few flukes, absolutely. I'm not disregarding that. But if you take the best quarterback in the NFL right now, Matthew Stafford's got to be an argument. He's got to be an argument. This was another interesting matchup. I don't think it will change a whole lot, but the Eagles, who are sitting at number 3, 8-4, first in the NFC East, have 90s all around the board. If they lose, it's a 93% chance to make it, 96% currently, and a 99% if they win. But they're playing the Chargers. So if you're if you're a Colts fan or a Bills fan, you're rooting for the Eagles this week. You're rooting for the Eagles this week. I don't know. There was some information from breaking news that Seth admitted that does involve the Eagles, and we won't jump into that. But honestly, if we look at the Eagles this year, they've really been the biggest question mark.
They really have. They have not been performing at their normal standard. Saquon Barkley has been very irrelevant. Both of their wide receivers are just kind of hit or miss, hot or cold. A.J. Brown's been a little bit better, but still nothing to write home about. Like, they don't look like the team that they have been in the years past, that's for sure.
And it's difficult when you're like, okay, well, Saquon's just having a bad year. No, he's having a really bad year. J.K. Dobbins, who's been on injured reserve since week 10, still has more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley. That's not good. Especially considering the hype and the performance that Saquon had last year. Offensive struggles have been terrible. I mean, the Broncos have had offensive struggles, and the Eagles make the Broncos look like a well-oiled machine on offense. Their offense has been atrocious. I've seen plenty of talk all around the league. It's like, oh, it's Jalen Hurts, or no, it's wide receivers, or no, it's the offensive line. But hands down, all of them they don't look the same. Like Seth
when
said.
you look at these 7 teams in this bracket right now, I see 3 teams right now that are well-oiled machines, and I would not put that in the same runnings as those other 3 teams.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. But either way, the joys of being good in your division, at least, the NFC East, does give the Eagles a pretty good spot coming into playoffs.
And they're the standalone team.
Yeah.
The only team from that division.
The Cowboys were making a run for it, but they really, really needed to beat the Lions yesterday. Like, there was no doubt about it. Their playoff hopes were pretty hinging upon that. Not saying it's impossible, but we'll get into the probabilities later. Credit the NFL for their percentages. Right beneath the Eagles, man, a team that started off so hot this year, 5-0, I think it was. The Buccaneers are 7-5, 2-5 in their last 7 games. Currently, they are still first in the NFC South, another division that you're just kind of sitting comfortably in, but not too comfortably. We'll go over that team that's beneath them in a second. However, they are playing the Saints this week. The last time the Buccaneers played the Saints, they looked pretty good. If they win, they have an 87% chance making the playoffs. Currently, they're given an 83% chance, and if they lose, they're given a 73% chance. So pretty solid, but the Panthers, who are on the outside looking in, who are second in the NFC South with a 7-6 record, are currently on a bye week and only have a 19% chance of making the playoffs. So Tampa Bay really pretty much controls their own destiny. If they win out and they do what they need to do, they'll make the playoffs. But I would put like the Bucs and the Eagles like right there in that like bottom tier NFC playoff teams. I don't think you can look at any of the other teams that are playoff eligible right now and think that they're better than those 2 teams. Personally. Right beneath the Buccaneers, arguably should be a true contender this year, and I really do think they will, is the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Seattle's sitting at number 5.
Can you believe that?
Number
Can you
5,
believe that?
Because you got Chicago sitting at 9-3, you got the Rams sitting at 9-3, and you got Seattle sitting at 9-3. But Seattle's sitting at a 5th seed. The only thing that's got them lower is that the Rams got one more division win than they do, but I still don't know why they're below the Eagles or the Bucks. That makes no sense.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think.
I guess because the top 4 are the
conference divisions.
Yeah,
But that's the
I
only
don't
reason.
know. That's just
It's crazy to think that because literally the NFC West has 2 of the best playoff teams, if not 3. But they're sitting at 5. I mean, they're playing Atlanta this week. Most people, including myself, think that the Seahawks will probably win that game. They have pretty good probabilities, 96% chance to make playoffs if they win, 92 currently, and 82 if they lose. And then right beneath the Seahawks are at the 6th seed, the Green Bay Packers at 8-3-1, who are playing the Bears this week. I mean, this is arguably probably going to be the game of the week, or one of the games of the week, is the Packers and the Bears, without a doubt. It has to be. But what's interesting, it says the Packers only have a 73% chance to make the playoffs if they lose to the Bears. If they beat the Bears, they're given a 94% chance to make the playoffs. All eyes in America are going to be on that team. And last but not least, of all the teams that you had to be the most surprised at, it's the 49ers, who are at 9-4, who are 3rd in the NFC West. They are on a bye week this week, and they are given a 91% chance to make the playoffs.
the thing about the 49ers is even through all the injuries that they've had this season, they've still found a way to succeed and just keep rolling with it. That's what impresses me the most, really. I mean, between going back and forth between Brock Purdy and Mac Jones, and one's hurt and one's healthy, and then the other one's hurt and the other one's healthy.
Yeah.
George Kittle, all the wide receivers they've had hurt. Just phenomenal job.
And if there's a team that reflects their locker environment and their team environment, it's got to be the 49ers. You've got to look at Shanahan and say, okay, this dude, these people want to play for this guy. They want to win for their coach. That's clearly evident. I don't think you could find a better environment in football, except maybe with Dan Campbell and the Lions. But I mean, 49ers are looking resilient. I mean, that's, if you describe resilient for a team in the NFL this year, it's got to be the 49ers.
See, nobody's surprised to see all these three NFC West teams sitting here. They've played well all year. The biggest thing that is surprising to me is that you don't see the Lions up here. That's the crazy. If you'd have told me that the Lions and the Bears would have swapped, that's the crazy thing to me, is that the Lions is not here. Doesn't mean that they can't get in, but the fact that they're not here right now is just very strange. Very odd.
I mean, I texted Seth last night during the Cowboys and Lions game, and I said the only people that can beat the Lions is themselves. And I still believe that. I know they've got 5 losses, but if you look at the losses they've had this year, they literally look like they just completely beat themselves. Like, they did not look like they got outclassed, outperformed. It looked like they were shooting themselves in the foot. Now, that doesn't make them an elite team because you still have to win football games. But if you look at the Lions, they're off, especially against the Cowboys last night. I mean, they have so much talent, and it's going to be a really crazy thing to see if the Lions actually don't manage to make the playoffs. Because if you compare the Lions and the Bears, I think the Lions are still a better team than the Bears. I think every team in the NFC North is better than the Bears right now, minus the Vikings. I mean, playoff NFC North teams. Again, I'm not discrediting the Bears. I just think that the Packers and the Lions both are better teams. I think if either of them played the Bears right now, they would both beat the Bears.
I think the Lions are more well-rounded on both sides of the ball than Chicago. I think that Green Bay is more well-rounded on both sides of the ball than Chicago. But Chicago's really starting to get their offense together. They've kind of got the dual backfield going on with the running backs right now. Caleb Williams has been very solid all year, so it's very interesting to see how that's going to play out.
And I mean, the Bears have had the talent for several years now, and that's the thing. I guess you just needed Ben Johnson to come in, and that was like the missing key, because they've had the talent. I mean, they've had the talent on the wide receiver depth, they've had the talent running back, and really their defense has progressively gotten better each time. But on the bubble, let's just look at the bubble teams. Both conferences, Seth mentioned it. The Texans and the Steelers and the Chiefs are on the outside looking in for the AFC, and the Lions, the Panthers, and the Cowboys on the outside looking in. The Cowboys are given a 7% chance to make the playoffs. The Panthers a 19% chance, and the Lions 54% chance.
Well, see, the Dallas Cowboys were sitting at 6-6-1 before last night. Now they're sitting at 6-7-1.
So that,
and I really don't know how much that win has a factor in the playoffs for a tie. I'm not
were
really,
they six?
not really
No, I think they
sure.
were 6-5 when they played the Lions. I think that record's right. They're 6-6
Okay,
now, right?
okay, 6.
Yeah, they're 6-6-1. So
they're 8-5.
So they're
yeah.
2 losses behind the Eagles, and then they have the tie. Who did they tie with? Green Bay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which blows my mind.
Yeah, of all things. But really, if you look at the NFC, I don't think the Cowboys or the Panthers should be even. They should not be in the playoffs. Even if they do some magic, they should not be in the playoffs. The only team out on the outside looking in that would actually do well in the playoffs and be fun to watch and put up an effort is the Lions. I don't think the Panthers have given some really good things this year and some really bad things. They're getting there, but I don't think Carolina is a playoff caliber team. They've just been too inconsistent. And you could argue the Lions have been too inconsistent. As much as I praise them, I can't ignore the blatant criticisms. But really, on the flip side of things, between the Chiefs, the Steelers, and the Texans, I really do think the Texans could do some work.
I agree.
Their defense is crazy. Like, if you look at the top defenses in the league, outside of the Broncos, the Texans have had an insane defense. Like, and granted, they do play really dirty sometimes, but we just got to look at talent. Like, the Texans' defense is locking people down. The Texans, the Vikings, and the Broncos have had incredible defense this year. And if the Texans can get their offense figured out, I mean, you could see the Texans make a run in the playoffs. They've already beat some of the best playoff teams, playoff-bound teams, or at least on the hunt of the playoffs right now. And they've really gained some momentum. If they would have beat Denver when everyone was clowning Denver for only winning by 3 points, and now look at them. But if they had beat Denver, the Texans would be sitting at 8-4 right now. I mean, it's crazy stuff.
They beat Baltimore 44-10.
That's wild.
They beat San Francisco 26-15. They beat the Jaguars 36-29. They beat the Bills 23-19. They beat the Colts 20-16. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that they have beat that's in the playoff
That's
runs
crazy.
right now.
And barely lost to the Broncos.
So if you can't say that they ain't showing up to play when you're doing that. So I mean, if nothing else, and I really hate to say this, if the Bills don't get their head out of their hind end, you're going to see the Bills fall out, and you're going to see the Texans.
Now, for the Bills, I will say the Bills have done a few notable things. They got Gabe Davis back. He may not be as fast as he once was, but he's seemingly still got that chemistry with Josh Allen. And they did look good their last game. They did actually look like
A team.
Yeah. Yeah. You still can never count Josh Allen out. I mean, he can do some crazy stuff, even if his talent. And Keon Coleman had a good game. As much drama has been around that dude, he actually did have a good game too.
He just got a lot of growing up to do.
He does.
Young.
He needs to mature. But the Texans, if they beat the Chiefs, have an 82% chance to make the playoffs. They're currently at only a 58% chance. But if they lose to the Kansas City Chiefs, they have pretty much a 45% chance of making the playoffs. The Chiefs are struggling on the struggle bus. There would have to be some crazy falling out between the Bills, Colts, and Chargers for the Chiefs to make it to the playoffs. They're not out completely, but it's pretty safe to say that they're on the chopping block, which is fine with me, and I'm pretty sure most Americans.
Now, on the other side of the coin, on the NFC teams, there's been 3 teams that's already been eliminated. You got the Arizona Cardinals, no surprise, 3-9. I'll leave my comments to myself. New Orleans Saints, they've been eliminated. They're sitting at 2-10 right now. And then the New York Giants have been eliminated, sitting at 2-11 right now. So my inquiring minds want to know, and when I say inquiring minds, I mean me. If you were to take the current AFC and NFC matchups, the way that it's projected right now, who would win and who would lose? New England's got a first round bye week between Denver and Buffalo. Jacksonville and Indianapolis, Baltimore and Chargers. Who's going to win each one of those games? In your
Golly.
opinion.
My opinion?
First matchup, Buffalo and Denver. I would have to take Denver.
I would have to agree with that. Not because the Broncos offense gives me a lot of hope, though they've been better the last few weeks. I have to do it based off of the defense. The Bills' offense against really good defenses this year has really, really struggled. And especially the Broncos in itself are really good at shutting down what Buffalo's good at. And if they shut down the run game, which I think they would, it would put a lot more stress and labor on Josh Allen. And as good as Josh Allen is, his biggest weakness is when he's having to do everything. He starts getting gunslingy, and that's when you start seeing interceptions. And Denver's been very good at forcing those.
And the Bills don't have no defense either.
The Bills don't have a defense either. Now, granted, that doesn't mean much because, the Broncos scored 10 points against the Raiders. So I'm not going too much on, but they have progressively gotten better. Troy Franklin's really stepped up. Pat Bryant has really stepped up as well. The rookie out of Illinois, he's starting to get a connection with Knicks. And RJ Harvey's starting to really break out of his shell with the injury of J.K. Dobbins. But I will say, with J.K. Dobbins getting hurt, that did kind of sting a little bit and really made me afraid for our playoff run, because RJ Harvey's good, but he doesn't have he's more of like you can pass it to him and he's going to get like 10, 15 yards out the backfield. But if you do a couple runs, he's probably going to get like 2 or 3 yards. And J.K. Dobbins had that, like, just that explosive edge to him that RJ Harvey needs to develop into for the NFL. So that's a big concern of mine. But hey, Bo Nix can run it as much as he wants to. He's pretty good at that too. I would have to pick the Broncos right now, but it would be a close game.
All right, right now Colts and the Jaguars played, who would you take?
I would take the Colts. I
agree.
the Colts.
The biggest thing that I think that Jacksonville doesn't have going on for them is I don't think that their defense can handle Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
That's the only concern that I would have there. I think that's an easy choice. Colts over Jaguars. How about Chargers Ravens? Who would you take for that matchup?
I would go with the Ravens.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
I would have to go the other way. I would have to take the Chargers.
The only argument for that is it's, again, the defensive side of things. Justin Herbert, when he's up against good defenses, and I know the Ravens have had very poor defensive performances throughout this season, but they still do have a lot of talent on the defensive side of things. And I think when we've previously seen Justin Herbert against a defense like that, he does struggle, and I think the Ravens will be able to lock him down. But I don't know. Lamar Jackson's going to have to play better football. He really is. But I do think he's good enough, and I think he's just in a little mental slump right now, and I think he gets out of that. Historically, Justin Herbert has not been good in the playoffs, and that's what I'm going off of. Neither has Lamar Jackson, so battle of the first rounders. But
let's go to the other side.
Right.
NFC before we go to our Week 14 matchups. Yep. San Francisco and the Rams is how it stands right now. If they were to play today, I'd have to take the Rams all day.
The last time the 49ers played the Rams, they got their butt kicked in. So, yeah, definitely the Rams.
Green Bay and Philly. That's crazy that's even a matchup. I'd have to go with Green Bay over Philly.
I would have to go with Philly.
Wow.
Believe it or not. The only reason is because the last time we saw Philly play Green Bay, it didn't really turn out that well for Green Bay.
It didn't, but
and I think sounding a little rhetorical at this point, but the Eagles really do know how to lock in the defense on Green Bay. It doesn't mean that Green Bay can't adjust, but Green Bay's offensive struggles have been very reminiscent of the Eagles' offensive struggles. And when they're really bad, and they can't get it going. If the Eagles can do the same game plan, they can execute and beat the Packers.
All right, last one. Seahawks and the Buccaneers. Absolutely.
No doubt. I feel bad for Baker Magic, but that's the last matchup you want to have right now is against the Seahawks.
Seahawks defense is too
good. So that is our SwineyBros playoff roundup.
If it stays how it is.
If it stays how it is. Because I'm going to be honest, it probably won't.
But we still have a lot of time left.
Exactly. A lot of time. So moving on to
Week 14 predictions.
Week 14 predictions. Again, arguably one of the hardest things to do, especially when it's time for playoffs.
A lot of interesting matchups this week.
A lot of playoff determining matchups. Start us off.
All right. Seahawks and the Falcons. We already talked about Thursday Night Football. That's come and gone. That's past, so we'll leave that off of our list. Seahawks and the Falcons. No contest there for me. Give me Seattle over the Falcons. Tennessee and Cleveland. Got to go with Cleveland over Tennessee. This is
Myles Garrett's gonna get the record right there.
this is going to be a hard game, but anything can happen. But give me the Browns over the Titans. Now, this next one was really a toss-up for me because both teams have just kind of been hot garbage for the last few weeks. But the Washington Commanders and the Minnesota Vikings. I had to go with Washington just for the simple fact that they're not struggling as much offensively as the Vikings. Yeah. So I had to go with the Washington Commanders. I had high hopes for Washington this year, and they really just didn't live up to my expectations. And then last but not least, Joe Burrow and the Bengals taking on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I have to go with Buffalo on this one. If it was in Cincinnati, I think Cincinnati would be favored a little bit more, but with it being in Buffalo, I think it's going to be the Bills over the Bengals.
Seahawks and the Falcons. I also have to go with the Seahawks on this one. The Falcons, they're licking their wounds right now. Give me the Seahawks. Not a lot for debate. The Falcons do still have a good defense, but it's not going to be able to outclass the Seahawks defense. The Commanders and the Vikings, listen, I saw a post from the NFL that said they were activating Jaden Daniels to active status to try to play. And I'll just be honest, Dan Quinn is a good football coach, but if you try to play Jaden Daniels the rest of the year, you're just an idiot. You're just an idiot. This dude has been hurt off and on. He's trying to recover and get healthy. The dude is recovering from a gruesome injury. I'm sure many of you saw the clip the last time it happened. Don't play. Your season's over. Don't do it.
Mariota can handle it.
Mariota can handle it. And that dude's playing with heart. If you saw the look on his face when they lost to the Broncos, that dude's playing with heart. And I think Mariota's good. Just let Mariota finish it. Don't play Jane Daniels. Don't ruin your future because you're trying to get a couple last wins. Don't do it. Don't do it. The Browns at the Titans. Yeah, listen, Myles Garrett is about to get that record in this game. The Titans' offensive line does not exist. It really doesn't. You could throw a few fullbacks out there, and they'd probably do better than what the Titans have on the offensive line. The Browns on this one. And last but not least, the Bengals and the Bills. I mean, the Bengals do historically have a thing for making randomly really good performances against teams that are doing much better than them. It'll be close, but again, it's kind of the same situation for me. I don't think they need to be playing Joe Burrow. I think they just need to let this dude heal. As much as he gets hurt, just get him out there. Your season's over anyways. Either way, it's the Bengals. They're probably going to put up like 40 points, but the Bills will put up 41. Give me the Bills over the Bengals. Next. I'm pretty sure mine's probably going to be out of order.
It's fine. I'll follow.
So, Colts and the Jaguars.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I have to go with Colts. I mean, if you remember a few weeks ago from our last episode, I was clowning on the Jaguars a little bit, and I was regretting saying they were a playoff team, and I just counted them out too early. But I do think the Colts are a better team right now. I think they're better on both sides of the ball right now. It'll be close, but I do think the Colts win this one. The Broncos and the Raiders, I mean, we know what happened last time. It was pretty much the Broncos just playing against themselves, and then the Raiders were like, hey, here's 3 points. I do have to go with the Broncos still. The Raiders, it's always a tough game. The Broncos and the Raiders is kind of similar to like the Bills and the Dolphins. There's a lot of hatred there. There's a lot of rivalry there, but I do think the Broncos still win this. If they don't win this, Sean Payton, we're going to have the conversation. Bears and the Packers. Oof.
Game of the week.
Game of the week, indeed. I'm just going purely from a defensive perspective. I'm going to have to go with Green Bay over the Bears. I mean, I really do think it will be a good game. I hope it's a good game. I think it'll be close. But I don't know if I can compare the two defenses figuratively and relatively and think that the Bears have a better chance of winning this game. Anyone can win any given day, though. So you never know. The Packers could poop themselves. Matt LaFleur's had some interesting things. Last but not least, Steelers and the Ravens. The battle of the mids for the first seed in their division. Yeah, I mean, the Steelers are kind of eerily similar to the Buccaneers, but in a worse fashion. They've just went tremendously downhill over and over and over again. Aaron Rodgers is contemplating why he didn't retire. I don't think it's going to be much different. I think the Ravens are really hungry, and I think the Steelers are really tense, and there's a lot of turmoil in that locker room for clear, obvious reasons. And I'll just be honest, I've been a Mike Tomlin fan for a long time. I think it's time for him to go. I think it's time for him to go. Your head coach has a big impact on the decisions you're making, and they're constantly making decisions that makes them like a barely over 500 team. And I think at the end of the day that boils down to your general manager and that boils down to your head coach. But either way, give me the Ravens over the Steelers. I think the Ravens are going to take that playoff spot, and I still would rather see the Ravens in the playoffs. That's why I'm saying it.
Well, the Colts and the Jaguars, an AFC possible playoff preview here. I've got to go with the Colts. Jonathan Taylor is going to run all over this defense. I expect a high-scoring affair on the Colts' part. Go Colts. The classic AFC West matchup between the Broncos and the Raiders. Give me the Broncos all day long. Vegas is going to be crying when they get done with this game.
I think they've been crying all year.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough for sure. The game of the week: the Chicago Bears and the Packers. Dare I say, what I would like to see is a Bills-Ravens game here. 41-40 shootout, back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to be that way, but I have to go with the Packers on this one, just for the simple fact that they've got a good team chemistry. Ben Johnson could pull out the W, though. You never know. But there's just something magical about Lambeau Field,
Yeah. Yeah, the cheeseheads.
So, I gotta go with Green Bay on that one. I do think it's going to be a very good matchup. I think it's going to be a very close game. And it's either going to be no defense or defense. You're either going to have a 6-6, 3-3, 3-0 at the half, or it's going to be like, right there neck and neck. So
I just hope it snows.
That would be cool.
That would be so cool
That'd
to
be
see
cool.
this like a full 6 inches of snow on Lambeau Field. That would be great.
But I got to go with the Packers on that one. And then the AFC North matchup between the Steelers and the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. Got to take the Ravens over the Steelers.
Heck yeah.
They're getting a comeback, and I think they're really wanting to make the playoffs this year. They're hungry for it. Mark Andrews has been playing pretty well the last little bit, and obviously he got his big contract extension, so hopefully he keeps that up. But I think the Steelers are on the downhill slide, so I got to go with the Ravens. Moving forward to one of the biggest games of the year for these two teams, the Dolphins and the Jets. Both teams are pulling up the rear of the AFC East, but it's always a good game.
It is.
Always.
It
Dolphins,
is.
Jets always play each other hard. But I had to go with the Dolphins over the Jets. They got more talent than the Jets do right now. I do think, though, with Tyrod Taylor, the Jets are going to play well, especially getting Adonai Mitchell from the Colts. He had a really bombing game last week, but I really think that the Dolphins are still going to win. So I had to go with the Dolphins over the Jets. The Saints and the Buccaneers. Wow. I feel sorry for the Saints on this game. Give me the Buccaneers over the Saints all day long. That's going to be a rough game for New Orleans. So we've got 3 more. So we'll go Rams and the Cardinals next. The Rams are going to embarrass the Cardinals. They're going to take them to school. People are going to be leaving Glendale Stadium before the game's even over with. Rams. And I'll do one more. We'll save the Monday night game for last. I'm probably going to be controversial here, but I can't help it. The Houston Texans and the Chiefs. Give me the Texans over the Chiefs. Mahomes is going down.
He is going down. Downward trending. Well. Quite an interesting array of games for this one. The Dolphins and the Jets. I'm going to make a bold prediction much too early. I'm going to make a 2026 prediction. I think that the Jets and the Cardinals, if they keep their current backup quarterbacks, Tyrod Taylor and Jacoby Brissett, could be bottom tier playoff potential teams next year. If you look at Aaron Glenn as a coach, That dude's a really good football coach, and he's been given one of the worst situations you could possibly be given as a head coach coming into. And I think with the array of draft picks that they're getting,
Oh, absolutely.
and again, I do think Tyrod Taylor is a good quarterback. I think he didn't get enough credit in his tenure in Buffalo, and I really do think he could be a good quarterback with the talent he has around him.
He's a great quarterback.
And especially with Aaron Glenn, they got to give him one more year, maybe 2 years with the draft picks, but the Jets really could.
I mean, in his
some work.
defense, it's like here's a ship full of water and a bucket full of holes. Get the water out. Like,
yeah. So I hope in New York Jets fashion that they don't botch this and try to fire him or do some absolutely absurd things. But give me, on top of all that, give me the Dolphins. Unfortunately, give me the Dolphins.
Hopping up the Jets just to take the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, I said next year. Right now, the Dolphins are bad, but they're not as bad as the Jets. The Saints and the Bucks, yeah. I mean, the Saints, goodness gracious, dude. They're tanking hard. Give me the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks are playing for a lot. The Saints are playing for the draft picks. Everyone always is like, oh, no, NFL teams don't do that. Yes, they do. Trust me, yes, they do. Rams and the Cardinals, I mean, dude, Jacoby Brissett, man. You're doing well, but you're not going to do that well. Not against the Rams. Trey McBride, buddy, just get me 5 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. I'll be happy. That's all that matters, but the Rams are looking comfortable. They're controlling their own destiny, and they're looking to secure their playoff seeding. Texans and the Chiefs. Yeah, this one, I don't think the NFL is on the side of Kansas City anymore. The Texans, if you place the Texans and the Chiefs regular season next to each other, the Texans have had a much more difficult schedule, and they've looked better, even with backup quarterbacks in. Give me the Texans over the Chiefs. Their defense is incredible. They may hurt someone, but their defense is incredible. So, yeah, Eagles and Chargers. Last one, right?
Yes, sir.
This one, like I said, if you're a Buffalo fan, you're definitely rooting for the Eagles. This is a tale of two cities, one with really strong offense, the other with really strong defense. It's very tough for me because I've mentioned it before. Justin Herbert one game can throw 4 touchdowns, 330 yards, and the next game he's thrown 4 interceptions and choking. I think just based off both teams' performance lately, I have to go with the Chargers.
Oh!
I have to go with the Chargers.
Oh!
I mean, it's so hard for me to ever pick the Chargers, and it's not because I'm a Denver fan. It's just because how inconsistent they are. But the Eagles have been just as inconsistent lately, so really you could flip a coin on this one, and that's pretty much what I did. But for some reason, my intuition just says to pick the Chargers. Someone don't clip that if they get blown out, please. Please.
The Monday night matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Chargers. Both teams well on their way to the playoffs. I had to go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
The one pick we got different.
I had to. I like the Chargers, but like you said, Justin Herbert is too hot and too cold. Plus, he's coming off of a hand injury.
He is.
So that was one of the biggest reasons I had to go with Philly.
That's fair.
That's
very fair. Very fair. So that rounds up our extremely difficult and extremely potent Week 14 predictions. So we don't claim to be professionals. Please don't hate on us too much. Now for NFL trivia. I'll go first this time.
All right.
This one, I actually very well know this one. I knew one of them. Which 2 NFL teams are tied for the most Super Bowl losses?
Most Super Bowl losses. The
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills. And Buffalo Bills and the 49ers.
That is incorrect.
Was one of them right at all?
Nope.
Really?
So I only know this just because I've been a Denver Broncos fan my whole life. One of them is the Denver Broncos with 5 losses. And the other one, believe it or not, I did not know this at all and would never would have guessed this, is the New England Patriots.
Whoa.
Also with 5 Super Bowl losses.
Wow.
I do not have the list of those losses for both teams, so if either anybody's curious that wants to see it, go Google it, because I couldn't find it immediately, and I wasn't about to try to pull up all the history on that.
And another trivia question I don't get right. Oh, well. Okay. For my football trivia, it is playoff time. It's right around the corner, so I thought this was a fitting question. Which NFL team has the most playoff appearances?
Okay, there was 3 teams that immediately came to mind. Well, really 4.
Well, there's 3 teams that are like right there with each other. Number 1, number 2, number 3. And the difference between number 1 and number 2 is 1 time. And the difference between 2 and 3 is 1 time. The difference between 1 and 3 is 2 times.
This one, there's by top 2 teams, I'm just going to list the one that my gut said would be the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, they are in the list, but that's not the number 1. They're pulling up the rear at number 3.
Number 1, New
The
England.
Green Bay Packers
Oh!
have the most playoff appearances in
Wow.
NFL history
Wow.
with 37 playoff appearances. They are followed secondly by the Dallas Cowboys with 36 appearances, and then pulling up the rear, the Pittsburgh Steelers have 35 playoff appearances.
Wow. Who's the last 2? Chicago and...
I don't know. I only got the top 3
See,
there.
the Cowboys and the Steelers popped to mind immediately. And then I also thought about the Patriots, but I was like, I don't think the Patriots have done it long enough. And the Chicago popped in my head. And then, yeah, I didn't think about Green Bay, though. I did not think about Green Bay. The reason I picked Pittsburgh over Dallas was because Dallas's recent performance in recent years, I thought the Steelers would have.
Okay, so the
more.
other 2 teams, number 4, number 5, is the New York Giants with 33.
Really? Holy cow.
And the LA Rams with 33 as well.
Wow. I would have never guessed that. See, I thought in that era of like the Chicago Bears being really good, that they would definitely be in there. That's crazy. Cool question, though. Definitely a cool question. NFL fun fact. This one's a little bit of a long one, but like Seth said, since it's the playoffs, I thought this one was really cool. In 1979, the Washington Redskins and Chicago Bears had one of the wildest final day playoff battles ever. Washington needed a win over Dallas to clinch a playoff berth. If they didn't get that, all they'd need was to not lose a point differential of 33 points over the Chicago Bears, who were playing the Vikings. Improbably, Chicago took care of its job all by themselves, winning 42-6
Good grief.
in an early game, meaning the point differential tiebreak was over and the Redskins were in a win-and-in situation. Washington went on to go to a 17-0 lead in this game, then was up 34-21 with 6 minutes and 53 seconds left, seemingly clinching a berth and ending the Bears season in the process. But Rodgers, how do you pronounce his last name? Staubach? Yeah, that guy. Single-handedly got Chicago to the playoffs, leading a comeback that ended with a touchdown pass to Calvin Hill with 39 seconds left, which put the Chicago Bears in the playoffs and bumped the Redskins out.
Wow. Very
Crazy stuff.
interesting.
Crazy stuff. Dad would have been 12 during that time, so I'll have to ask if he watched that game. Very, very OG trivia, or fun facts, but thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Anything else to round out before we move on?
I ask this all the time. Nobody hardly ever comments. But, comment on the Facebook page, comment on Instagram, comment on this podcast episode. Who do you got between the Bears and the Packers? Let us know in the comments. Bears or Packers?
I have been taking an extended time away from Instagram, so I have not been as active on there. But if you guys send us messages or anything like that, we will see it. Or if you even fill out the Google form, that is right below this video in the link. I link it every single time if you guys want to see it. And again, of course, thank you guys for the support. For some reason, last episode just completely blew up. It was at like over 120 views the last time I looked at it. So thank you guys for obviously just watching, taking time out of your day to listen to us talk about random things related to football. We really do appreciate it, and we do really appreciate the support. We're well past 50 subscribers, up in like 52, 53 range now. The short's been blowing up. We had like 3K views on the last short, so clearly you guys are liking the content, so it really does mean a lot. Thank you again for everything, and I guess we will see you next time for episode 13 of the SwineyBros podcast.
God bless.